Oh boy, there is plenty to talk about after a racing Sunday at Silverstone. And if you thought Saturday's sprint brought some big moments and incidents in the first lap, Sunday's race looked at Saturday and said, hold my beer. Max Verstappen taken out by Lewis Hamilton on lap 1 before the British driver went on to overtake Charles Leclerc in the final few laps of the race to win once again at the British Grand Prix. This is GPFans bringing you all the fallout from an F1 Sunday, and if you want to stay in the know, hit that subscribe button down below to stay up to date with everything going on in Formula 1 on the channel. Now, much like Lewis Hamilton, let's dive right into that incident at Copse Corner. Starting things off with Red Bull, and Red Bull team principal Christian Horner has accused Lewis Hamilton of desperate and dirty driving after the Mercedes driver made contact with Red Bull's Max Verstappen on lap 1 of the British Grand Prix, sending the Dutch driver flying off the track at the 180-mile-per-hour Copse Corner and out of Sunday's race. The two championship rivals, Hamilton and Verstappen, were tangling and tussling throughout the opening corners of the British Grand Prix, with the 7-time world champion desperate to make a pass on pole sitter and leader Verstappen, until heading into Copse Corner, the British driver drove up the inside of the Red Bull at the fast turn, clipping the right rear wheel of Verstappen and sending him careering into the tyre wall. The spectacular 51G collision left the championship leader obviously winded and dazed, but thankfully he was able to walk away from the wreckage, while his team principal Horner was straight on the radio to race director Michael Massey to have his say on the incident. Every driver who has driven this circuit knows you don't stick a wheel up the inside of Copse, said Horner. It was 100% Max's corner. As far as I'm concerned, full blame lays on Hamilton. It could have been a massive accident. Thank God he walked away unscathed. And it seemed after the race, Horner was unchanged in his thoughts on the incident, telling Channel 4, I think it was a desperate move. He failed to make the move in the first part of the lap, which he was obviously geared to do, and then it was just a desperate move sticking a wheel up the inside, which you just don't do. Copse is one of the fastest corners in the world. You don't stick a wheel up the inside. That's just dirty racing. When asked by Sky Sports about the 10-second time penalty Lewis Hamilton received for his role in causing the incident before going on to still win the British Grand Prix, Horner simply replied, this was not really a penalty. Meanwhile, staying on that Turn 1 incident, because Formula 1's going to stay on it for at least a week, I imagine, British Grand Prix winner Lewis Hamilton has laid the blame for that crash at the door of Max Verstappen, calling his title rival very aggressive. Now, once Hamilton had taken the checkered flag and his 8th British Grand Prix victory of his career on Sunday, he was asked about the dramatic moment that suspended the race on lap 1 and allowed the Mercedes driver to narrow the gap between he and Verstappen in the Drivers' World Championship to just 8 points. I always try to be measured in how I approach, said Hamilton, especially with Max. He is very aggressive. I was fully alongside him and he didn't leave me space. But regardless of whether I agree with the penalty, I take it on the chin, and I just kept working, and I wasn't going to let anything get in the way of the crowd's enjoyment of the weekend and the national anthem and the British flag. The victory for Hamilton required a Herculean drive after being forced to take a 10-second time penalty for his involvement in the incident, and Sunday's race winner was quick to thank his team, his teammate Valtteri Bottas, and of course the Silverstone crowd for the part they played in getting him another home Grand Prix victory. It was such a physically difficult race, great weather and the best crowd. There is nowhere we go where we see people like this. They ain't got what we got. I am so grateful to the fans. This is a dream for me. I couldn't have done it without the great teamwork from Valtteri and the amazing effort from the team. And of course, let's talk about the man that finished second on the podium, Charles Leclerc, who was left with mixed emotions with his second place finish at the British Grand Prix after the Monegasque driver gave 200% to try and hold off the charging Lewis Hamilton in the dying laps of Sunday's thrilling race. The Ferrari driver had led the race from lap 1 after capitalising on the incident between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen at Copse Corner, and despite having engine mapping issues throughout a large part of the race, the 23-year-old was still out in front until lap 50 when he was eventually passed by the Mercedes driver and was forced to settle for second on the podium at the end of a 52-lap slog in the British summer sun. It's difficult to enjoy 100%. It's been an incredible race, said Leclerc. I gave not 100%, but I gave 200%. I gave all of me, but it was just not enough in the last 2 laps. Congratulations to Lewis. He did an incredible job, and it's amazing to see as many fans in the grandstand. It was fun in the car, but lacked just a little bit of pace towards the end. The ability of the Ferrari driver and his team to handle the difficult tyre wear problems that have hampered their season on a number of tracks this year caught many by surprise, and even the man behind the steering wheel was not expecting the Scuderia to be as competitive as they were across the weekend. We definitely did not expect it, said Leclerc. We expected it after qualifying to be competitive, but not as competitive as now. We've been fighting for the win, which was incredible. Especially on the medium, we were extremely quick. Then on the hard, we lacked a little bit of pace to Mercedes, but overall, it is much stronger than what we are used to. We are working in the right direction. We need to keep going like this. It won't be a smooth ride until we get to the top, but we will give everything. As always on a Sunday, we want to know your thoughts on who the driver of the day was in the comments section down below. And maybe you want to let us know who was at fault for that lap 1 incident at Copse Corner, because there's going to be plenty to discuss about that. Was it Hamilton? Was it Verstappen? Should Hamilton have had a harsher penalty imposed on him during the race? Should he be suspended for a race, as Red Bull were clamouring for during Sunday's Grand Prix? Or perhaps there should be no penalty at all whatsoever. It was just a racing incident. Let us know your thoughts. We'll give you our thoughts on that on the Stewards Room podcast this week. Go to your favourite podcasting outlet and subscribe to that. And don't forget to click down below to subscribe to everything we do here on the YouTube channel at GPFans.